Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Breakdown with Hansen and Brown in lockdown. This week, I'm here with my amazing co-host who's curled up in a ball, but not just because he's here on the show, just because he does that.
Because life, man.
Finals are getting to Joe Brown. I'm also here with our special guest of the week, Ben Pavlik. Hi, Ben.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys.
Ben, thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be in the waiting room, and pleasure for you to press admit. That's always such an exciting feeling. I always get such a big rush when I am let in to the Zoom chat. Oh my God!
Like you think you're gonna get in, but you're not sure.
It's like American.
Maybe David and Joe found another guest. That's, we have connections with like Brad Pitt. Maybe, you never know what's gonna happen.
Maybe we decide to just have Evie on again because she threatened us or something. That might happen.
Yeah.
Listen, before we attack our previous guests, I do have to introduce Ben. I think Ben is personally, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, Ben, personally one of the coolest people on this planet. He is a musician who has been a part of many different bands with different styles of music in each, including a jazz combo, gypsy jazz. He's a part of. Is Big Fans still going right now?
Oh yeah, Big Fans is still going. And,
awesome.
Yeah, that's like I guess pop, like jazz, rock, kind of a little bit of everything. And we're actually coming out with an album.
Hey.
Soon, or like an EP or whatever, but yeah, we got a little project going, so just I'll let you know when that comes out and all that.
Where are you at in the process with that? Are you guys still recording stuff? Are you editing?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Okay.
Recording.
I have to say, I am so excited to have Ben on this show. I think I said to David like 2 weeks ago that Ben would be like my favorite person to get on this show because I haven't talked to Ben in a while. And every time you post something on your Instagram or your Snapchat, you're either like in the forest eating beans out of a can with like a pocket knife, or you're like in LA working on some album in like a recording studio somewhere. And I'm just like, I want to like talk to Ben about what he's been up to since we left high school, because he's been all over the place. It's ridiculous.
I'd love to talk about that. Yeah. And you guys, like I see you, Joe, you got that cool ass toy thing that you're like.
Oh, the kendama thing?
That
Dude,
is so
I gotta
cool.
be honest with you. I post maybe 20% of the videos that I've taken with this. I send the rest of them to my older brother who also plays with them, because it pisses him off that I'm better at it than he is.
That's good.
I'll say Joe is kind of the king of making like little games, or finding different, like you got the Kenyama that you have mastered. You've done that door hang challenge where you hang on the side of a door for as long as you can.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah, in my I think we've mentioned this on the show before. In my dorm at college, I started a competition among my roommates to see who could hang on our door frame for the longest amount of time. And at the beginning, my one roommate, Andrew, who again, D1 athlete, is a pitcher for the Illinois baseball team and is crazy strong, was able to do it for like way longer than I could. I think he did it like 9 seconds, and I could do it for like 4. And then I started rock climbing, and at the end of the year, I did it for, I think, about 18 seconds at a party, and Andrew was never able to beat that time. So when we left for quarantine, I was the champion.
Hey, wait, so how do you do it?
Well, it was on our door frame, so that people who have like really good grip strength can hang on like one side of a door frame, but since not everyone can, on ours, we put one hand on each, and you could like squeeze your hands in towards the door frame, and that made it a little bit easier to hold on.
That's tough.
I got 1 second.
Joe, you went to Bryan, Joe, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember, okay, the gym locker room on the boys' side, like when you open the gym doors, there's like other like kind of threshold. There's like this little iron like beam kind of, and it's tiny. And we used to have challenges on that where we would like hang. And actually we did pull-ups on it.
I don't remember that. I don't think I had enough friends in middle school that I ever would have been involved in something like that. But I do remember what the opening of the locker room looked like. Yeah.
sad. No, and
Middle school.
we were probably in a different gym. But yeah. Well, what have you guys been up to this summer? Because I haven't seen you guys.
Oh,
Well, why don't we ask you first, since you're the guest on our show and the people who watch this show know what David and I have been up to.
absolutely
Pretty
nothing.
interested in what Ben has been up to.
Okay, so I guess
Why don't we start with music stuff? What have you been up to musically?
musically, well,
You're on Musically? Wow, I thought that app was dead.
I thought it was done, yeah. Well, okay, so I've been writing some tunes. I got this one, it's about quarantine, so it's fresh. It's the freshest tune. And I'm actually gonna release it on a little EP. I'm gonna have a song, a guided meditation track, and a poem reading. And it's just gonna be like about mindfulness and just about like killing time. And I think I might name it Killing Your Time for You or something like that, just because I feel like I'm always trying to find something to occupy my brain with, and you're always trying to kill time, and I feel like not enough people are meditating as frequently as they should be, and it's really helpful. And I've kind of just been focusing on the meditation aspect of music and like creating that just focused mindful awareness of like everything you're doing and every sound that's interacting with each other. Big Fans went on tour in Los Angeles in February. We played 5 shows in Los Angeles, and three of the places were like places to play. Like if you're going to play in Los Angeles, you play at those places. And it was really scary because, we'd always just played for our friends and, just in like backyards, and that was great. But to play in LA where everyone's debuting their stuff and showcasing their talents and their work that they've been working on for years, and to get just genuinely positive feedback from people we've never met. And actually we ended up not playing for a lot of people at one gig, but it was like 3 or 4 industry people in the audience.
Whoa.
It was really scary because what impresses them at this point,
Yeah.
Seen it all. So it's like you really had to you couldn't do any tricks. It's just, I'm going to be so brutally honest, and if they don't like it, then there's nothing I can do. But fortunately, they commented on our stage presence the most, because we were having fun and it was obvious. And I think when you're making music or art and it looks undeniably fun, people want to be a part of that. And because they're jealous, because they're bored, they're jealous, and they want to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves. So when you can really like showcase that, like, hey, I'm here to be a part of something bigger than what's in this room even, then I think that's kind of what we've been finding out playing a lot. And that tour really taught us. That tour was great. We made no money, lost a bunch of money. Didn't know anyone out there, but that's how you do it. You just, you do your thing, and you just put your head down and work, and you just talk to people and treat them like humans.
Yeah. I mean, despite losing money, it seems like you really evolved as a band out there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And really just the hardest part, I think, when you're touring with the band is living with them, because if you don't get along, it's going to suck. And luckily, the people in my band, they feel like my siblings. And so we had no problems getting along. And we were like, honestly, we could be roommates. So you're really, I guess what we learned is the core, the true spirit of your art lies within the chemistry between the artists.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. I think there's something so palpable about when a group is really enjoying making music together on stage. And I think that's something that Big Fans has always like done really well.
Thank you. That really means a lot. We try. I mean, we're saying we're not the best musicians ever, like, but we have so much fun. And we told this on tour. We were in our first gig. It was at a bar. I wasn't actually allowed to be in the bar because I'm underage, and the bouncer actually had to kick me out until I could play. I was waiting outside for like an hour or so. And where was I going with this? Oh yeah, but I told the audience because they were kind of at the bar. They weren't really looking at the beginning. And then I was like, you know what? If this room was empty, we'd put on the same show. And by the end, everyone in the bar was invested, and they actually came up to us, and my back was turned for a good portion of it because I was just like, nah, no one's gonna fucking listen. Like, I'll just, whatever, we'll just jam. And we even said that. They're like, no one's gonna listen. Let's just all play for us three. And that's that. And it turned out we got like a bunch of people's contact info because they're like, yo, like, where are you guys playing next? And so it's kind of like you kind of can't care also.
Yeah. So how do you get in the mindset, like what's different from going from like a casual show with your friends to like one of those shows where you're in front of 4 people who are recruiting, or looking?
Really, I mean, to me, there's really not much of a difference. I guess just maybe the banter changes in between. Because, and that's actually, that's kind of how we got the crowd to get invested. It's the little banter, and you kind of do have to read the room a little, and you're gonna say, okay, if I say this, are they gonna react the same way if I said it to this person, or would they think this is relevant to them? And like, is what I'm talking about even making sense? I don't know, like, it's you do have to read the room, but honestly you do put on the same show for either, and you just it's just genuine as you can make it. I think that's the biggest thing.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, as someone who has been to some of your backyard concerts, I think that was actually the craziest and most unique thing about not even the backyard concerts. I went to some of your basement concerts back in the day when you had like 12 people crammed, when you'd like cram 12 people into the basement. And it was like, how do you get a bunch of teenagers to pay attention to something for 2 hours in a setting that should normally feel like an informal setting, but like in which you're controlling the room? Because like, it is a weird thing to have a get together of people and like to have them like high schoolers, to have them focus on like one thing that you're doing. And what I always thought was great about your concerts was everyone was having so much fun just watching the performance. There was no need for anything else. Everyone was completely invested in what you guys were doing. And it was because it was just fun to watch you perform. And everyone in the audience felt like they were part of the performance because it was like so close knit. And that kind of chemistry that you were talking about that your band has always had, where just like, we're just having fun. People buy into that. Those concerts were always so much fun. They were amazing to be at.
I'm really glad to hear that.
Wow.
Really glad.
We're being too nice to you. What's going on?
Yeah, really, roast me or something.
Sorry, we just ended the
unusual.
Evie episode last week. We're not used to all this niceness. It's something completely different.
This is really wild for us. So Ben, you're also a big traveler. Or at least from what I can tell, you typically don't shy away from just dropping everything and going on an adventure. It seems like you've played in Maine, you've played in California now, and you just go on trips. What draws you to just taking an adventure like that?
I don't know, just change of scenery. Just, there's always something out there. And I think just not knowing is so fun.
Yeah.
It's scary, but I think that's when you learn the most. And the Maine trip was a lot different. I took a Maine trip in the summer where I drove to Maine alone with all my stuff, and I camped. Slept in my car a couple nights because I couldn't get a camping site, and that was just uncomfortable and not that warm and illegal because I was like parked overnight, and I went to a hotel parking lot, and like I think someone was kind of onto me, and I had to like move a couple times. So but yeah, and like that trip I had nothing. I knew no one to be like, hey, you should check this spot out. It was just me like getting the balls to talk to someone on the street and be like, yo, like, what's the deal here? And I walked, so I needed money because you got to pay for gas and food. And
Money's
yeah,
sometimes important. Yeah.
right. Food was scary because you have to plan out your food, and you didn't have food. You did not eat, and that's that. Mom's not gonna make you a sandwich in the kitchen or whatever. You can't
Mom
just
wasn't mailing you a sandwich to Maine.
right. But so when I got to Maine, when I got to Portland, which is the big city that I played in for a couple days, I just walked into a coffee shop. First one I saw, and I was like, hey, can I play here? And they're like, I don't know, like we do that sometimes, but we don't know you. And I was like, okay, here's my EP. You can listen to this and you can decide if it's something you like, or if it's not, then whatever, I'll walk away. And that's the time to sell, really. They've decided in like the first 20 seconds, first 10 seconds, really, they decided. They're like, and fortunately he liked it enough, or he let me play there, and I played for I think 2 or 3 hours, and I made like $96, which is not that good, but it's also not that bad. That's food money.
Right.
And then he's like, dude, it was awesome. Come back any day you like. So it was so serendipitous, that he was a music lover. His wife was a musician, I think, or something. And so it's just, you don't know. And it's like, this is where all the skills really come into, are tested. It's like, can I whip this out of my ass right now, at any moment? And and that's scary. And that's why I think those trips are just so good, because it's like Elmhurst was competitive. York was competitive, and I think in U of I, right, that's a competitive school because there's a lot of people. And it's just interesting because I went to Northeastern where it was not really competitive. I was the only horn player, guitar player, or jazz guitarist and horn player, like combo, I guess. So it's kind of new. It's kind of a new like thing that I had to kind of create for myself. Like, what do I want to get out of this? And that's kind of those trips. It's like, well, what do I want to get out of this? Because really, there's no other competition besides myself. And however hard you choose to push yourself that's up to you. So those trips really, I think, get you to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And yeah, getting out of your comfort zone, I think, should be a daily habit. I think you should do that.
You bring up a good point, mentioning Northeastern. I'm thinking about school and how you're managing all of these trips with like what you're doing in school, because I actually know nothing about what you're up to school wise. I actually don't even know if you're like in school, if you're taking time off of school, or what's going on with that. Dropping out?
Yeah.
You know,
Dropouts are the most successful. No, why pay for the education if you don't need it, right? Were you going to Northeastern? Because I had been under the impression that you're going to Elmhurst College, but I think someone had told me that that was incorrect, that you had changed your mind about that.
Yeah, I was set on Elmhurst, but then Northeastern gave me a bunch of money, so I was like, okay, I'll go there. But
take that.
yeah, it's just, I mean, it's like you gotta weigh your options. In schools, I don't know. School is a good resource. It's a great tool. It's a great tool to use, but it's a tool. And you know, if you're building a shed, you don't need all the tools, perhaps, but it's certainly helpful to have all those available to you. And but yeah, and especially now with like quarantine and the online stuff, like I don't really get the point of I guess paying for all those online classes when I guess my heart wasn't in it to begin with.
And especially as a musician, I mean, music classes online have to be
It's tough. It's
low
really
desire.
because you can't play live with other musicians. It's all
Right.
Actually, I had a really humbling experience with one of my jazz assignments. So my jazz teacher actually, I would stay in school for my jazz teacher and French horn teacher because they taught me the most, and like, and they weren't really through the school, you know, they just kind of worked there. So like, but for my final, for the jazz thing, I had to record a 7-minute tune, playing changes, playing some lines and soloing and accompanying other people. And so 7 minutes of audio. It took me more than 7 hours to get the tape that I needed. So that just really gives you perspective on like how well you need to have your craft down in order to collaborate like that, because it's really hard. And like live stuff, you know, you make a mistake, it goes by, but like a recording, be like, what note did he just play? I can go back and check that. That is not correct. Right.
No,
So,
like, let's go to this one bit and pulling out my tuner. We're like, let's just play
right.
this again and again. G sharp,
Right.
G sharp. That's
Something crazy about that. I'm the only French horn player, so they hire 3. So my teacher is hired to play, and then they hire 2 other professionals to fill up the section. And I'm first because I'm a student, and they're like, oh yeah, like just give it to the student, like he's, you know, like, oh well,
I'm paying to be here. I'm paying to go to school here.
Right.
Let's make me first chair.
Right. Like we'll let him have his fun. And second chair dude is probably one of the best French horn players in Chicago right now. He told me, he's like, yeah, that note in measure, so this blah 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 was a quarter step too high.
And I'm like, quarter step.
And
get out of here with this. Oh my god, the semitones.
Yeah, and this was like 5 minutes after it happened.
In the middle of just like the whole band playing, he's just like, oh yeah, that was a quarter tone off.
He's like focusing on his own stuff, listening to an entire ensemble of people, and the one kid in his right ear is like, Right.
And you're the first chair, which makes you the better French horn player, right?
Well, no.
Yeah, I mean,
not really.
First,
no, it means he's paying tuition money. So
yeah, it means
they accept bribes.
It means they have to listen. The other chairs have to listen to me, so they're listening even harder, which is even more pressure, which is good. But it's just like that. It's like being thrown into that real world setting. And that's the great thing with my school too, is we had a lot of community based stuff. So like our ensembles were half community members and like half students. And that's just great because we had some really heavy hitting cats come and play with us. We had, I can't remember some of their names, but yeah, just like heavy hitting jazz players like in the scene. And the Chicago jazz scene is it's nuts. It's nuts, and you don't really hear about it a lot, but it's just crawling with really good players. So, but yeah, it's like going on those trips. It's like going to a community ensemble. It's like Maine. That's a state I can go to. I don't live in it, but I can go to it and I can play music and see how people react.
Yeah.
And yeah, just getting out of your comfort zone and playing with people that are way better than you is always going to benefit you.
I'd say that's true with anything. You know, if you are the best in the room, you need to find a new room.
Never be the smartest person in any room. That's always my motto.
Don't be.
That's why I'm in a Zoom room with you two, because we have a computer scientist, computer engineer.
David, you've never learned what my major is.
And a brilliant musician. You know, I get to learn from both of you.
Where?
I'm sorry, David.
Your dog, Baxter.
He's a good singer. He is.
I'm sorry, David. Which one of us was a better student in high school?
Listen, let's not make it a competition. You know, everything's so black and white with you, Joe Brown. Black, white, and red haired.
Well, my point of never being the smartest person in a room, there's two reasons for that. The first is, if you're not the smartest person in the room, you stand to learn a little bit more, stand to be motivated to work a little bit harder. Two, if you're ever the smartest person in the room, in my opinion, you're going to be very frustrated.
And
so
three,
that's
if you ever get in like a survivor scenario where you have to vote someone off, you won't be the top of the pecking. You know, everyone else is going to want to vote off the smartest person.
Oh, is that how you won Big Brother at Allen
Listen,
Hall?
let's not talk about my accomplishments. That's not what we're here for. We're not here to talk about how great I am. That was a really
boasty way to take what was clearly an underhanded insult.
Listen, Joe, we don't need to talk about how awesome I am. You know, we're here.
Bold confidence. I think that's what Ben was talking about, right? With these trips and stuff, like a real life experience and learning how to have confidence in yourself. That 20-second sale. How do you walk in and show enough confidence that they're willing to listen to what you're saying? Because if it doesn't look like you believe in yourself, why should they believe in you, right? Exactly. That kind of stuff. That's crazy important in any career. If you can build the confidence in yourself, the communication skills to market yourself, that is just crazy important, no matter what career you're going into.
True. Joe, that was very well put. And to be honest, like, a lot of that confidence is bullshit.
Oh,
it's
100%. False confidence is the key to success, baby. That's been my motto since 6th grade.
Yeah. Like, you know, you could play a show and everyone's like, wow, that was cool. And you're just like, no, it wasn't. That was fucking horrible. Like, did you do any of that? Like,
or you're like playing the guitar, you're like, da, 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 you hit a wrong note and all of a sudden, sorry guys, let me go back 3 bars.
No,
they'll never notice.
Right.
Hey,
no. And well, and you will make mistakes. And like, I made a lot of mistakes on those trips. Like, one time I left something really important at my campsite, and I was traveling to a new town to play there, and I needed that thing in order to play. So I drive all the way back. It was like 40 minutes, which isn't that bad, but you know, that was time playing lost. So I could not make that money back that I lost driving. And like, there are only so many hours in a day. And so then when you're kind of, honestly, when you do screw up like that, you kind of have to compensate with that false confidence even more. You got to be like, man, I really screwed up, but I'm here now. So
yeah, I'll just have to earn twice as much and half the time.
Definitely, people appreciate when you're genuine. Right. So if you show up, it's not to say that like you make some bullshit excuse, but you show up and like act like a person. Like, guys, I forgot this thing that I forgot. I'm so sorry for, you know, taking your time, but I'm going to set up now and I'm going to give you the 2 hours, like the rest of the time that I promised. Like, being genuine as a person. A lot of times people get roped into situations, I think, where you're like, you feel like you have to give 100% to something or someone's going to get mad. Maybe like you're in a new job and you're scared that if you like don't show up 15 minutes early every day or don't go to every meeting or don't like whatever, they're going to get mad at you. And I found in my experience, it's trying your best. And then when you can't, being completely genuine about what's going on, no excuses like, this thing came up that I had. I'm like 10 minutes late. I'll accept any like consequence that comes with that, but like being genuine with someone, because even if you do something that like, okay, well, there needs to be a consequence for that, this person still believes they can trust you, because even though you did something that you weren't supposed to, you were upfront with them about how you did it, and they still feel like they can trust your word. And that's an important thing to build with people.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with that too is I was street performing in Maine, so that day I did not have to go back to that. I could go anywhere I wanted to. There was no obligation. So that person that you're talking about was actually like me. You know, I was playing both of those people because, right? Because when you're street performing, no one cares. And really, we talked about 20 seconds. Street performing is 2 or 3 seconds. It's even harder. And to make, I think I actually made $110 that day. So that was my best day in Maine, and all that shit went down. So it's like, you really have to, and you can't get down on yourself. Like, man, I left this thing, is cutting into my own time. I'm my own boss right now, but it's like, you got to be forgiving. And, yeah, you got to be forgiving with yourself when you're that person. And it's easier said than done, you know, because it's you. It's like, oh, no one's gonna check me if I'm just belittling myself. But when it's someone else, you know, they're not gonna do that. But so you have to really like be forgiving with yourself when you're that person too.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the vibe, honestly.
Great advice. Hey,
Snapping like a poetry slam in here.
if listeners take anything away from this episode, that's probably it.
Wow.
Or that, you know, Joe's a ginger. That's the other thing I ask people to take.
I was trying to hide that. I thought if I like sat with my hair against this like board that it would like match colors and nobody would notice. But yeah, thanks for ousting me. That's cool.
It's okay, Joe. Maybe
Back
one day.
when we had the radio
dye your
show,
hair
nobody
again.
knew when it was a radio show, Ben, nobody had any idea I was a ginger. We start this Zoom
That's why I had to
call.
mention it every episode, pretty much.
Every episode, David's like, welcome to Hansen and Ginger Brown, where I am a normal human being and my co-host has no soul.
Welcome
Today,
to Hansen
our
and Gingy.
co-guest- Yeah. Gingy, now that I sound like the gingerbread man from Shrek. I'll never tell you where he is. The Muffin Man. No!
Muffin Man!
Who lives on Drury Lane?
So Ben, I mean, with street performing, that's crazy. You know, trying to get people to notice you like that, and not just, you know, another young white guy with a guitar. Like that's got to be fun though, to just, you know, just play anywhere.
It is fun. It's very different where you play, because we actually were street performing on Venice Beach when we were in LA, and we made $16. So
For how many hours?
Oh, too many. I'm embarrassed to say how many.
That's below minimum wage.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Between three people, yeah, that's bogus. I think we bought ice cream with it after. So
I was gonna ask, did you guys go get some food to split up the $16, or were you like divvying quarter cents? You're like, all right, 16. Let's split this up fair, fellas. All right, we each get $5.33.33333.
What kind of computer engineer are you that you needed a calculator for 16
I'm
divided
sorry.
by 3?
What? My calculator?
Get out of here!
Engineer?
Get out of here!
I love
Get
it.
out!
Did you make that?
No, shout out to my sister. This was my parting gift to college. She colored the back of my calculator for me.
Gross.
I am not artistic at all. I
Love.
would not have been able to do that.
That's really cool.
Gross sibling connection.
I actually, speaking of, since you continue to bring up my major, I want to talk about the interesting discrepancy here between us, because Ben mentioned that he's dropping out of school, and we talked about the different reasons for that. I think a lot of people, especially people who grew up in like our kind of community, which maybe a lot of our listeners, get pushed towards college. Some people kind of feel like they're like a bit of a failure if they don't go to college. And I've met a lot of people that drop out of college for various reasons after they get there. And it's kind of a waste of money for some people. I'm not going to say it's a waste of money for Ben, because Ben got a lot out of those years. But like when people show up to college, they're unprepared to do anything. Like they picked their major just because they wanted to go to college because someone told them they needed to. They weren't interested in their major. Now they're not really getting anything out of it, and they're wasting money, and they eventually drop out. I think people should look a little bit closer at like college as a tool to get somewhere. And if where you're trying to go doesn't require college, or if you're going to lose more money from college than that value is going to give back to you, then you really need to take a hard look at whether or not it's worth it. Like Ben said, the kind of real life experience that he's getting from traveling and from other kind of performances is worth a lot. And he's also losing money by going to school and not getting as much out of it. It's different for people like me and David, where like, I'm sure David would probably have trouble finding a job as an actuary without a college degree. And
Bite your tongue.
but oh, you're gonna come out of high school and show up to an insurance firm? I'm really good at math. Hire me as an actuary.
How dare
I have
you,
a high
Joe?
school diploma.
How dare you?
I'm sorry, I didn't take the actuarial sciences seriously, David. I didn't mean to insult you.
I think you're right, Joe. It's an investment, and an investment doesn't make sense if you're going to not get as much money out of it as you put in.
Yes, do the risk assessment for me. What's the risk analysis, David?
The risk is $30,000 a year and for student loans for a very, very long time.
You heard it here first, folks, from our own Hansen and Brown official actuary. The risk assessment on college.
I punched the numbers without using a calculator.
Punch the numbers in my head. Yeah. I used a
Numbers are, I'm
calculator for
scared.
16 divided by 3. David's working with tens of thousands, and he's like, I just
Listen.
did all that in my head.
We don't have to worry about that. I mean, we do, but I'm not right now. You know, this is a zen zone. A zen zone? Oh.
Right. Ben's been pushing for meditation. We need to get our zen on.
I think mindfulness is important, but I mean, especially like, well, it's not bad to worry and think about college and money and stuff. But I mean, we don't have to get into college and money, but it is good to just, you know, take some time and think.
You know, and wouldn't it be amazing if you didn't even have to pay those college loans? You know, if you could just take on some sort of wacky situation and just like be done with the money altogether. Wouldn't that be great, David?
Yeah, but I mean, we'll talk about that in like 3 minutes.
Really? You're going to push me off to 3 minutes? What do you have to talk about for the next 3 minutes that's so important that you're going to ruin my perfect segue?
I thought we could just not talk for 3 minutes.
Meditate for 3 minutes.
Meditate for
Yeah,
3 minutes.
Absolutely. Take 60 seconds to yourself.
I found that people
What,
often
Ben?
listen to podcasts for the silence.
Yeah, true. Very true. Very true.
How do you guys meditate?
For me, I've been trying to think more recently, especially with how much free time we're going to have. You know, everyone says like, oh, I'm going to accomplish this and I'm going to get all that done. And I think it's less about, you know, getting a certain project done. Like you have to accomplish like a new hobby or something. I think it's more about thinking about how you're going to use that time effectively to, you know, not necessarily get something accomplished, but to better yourself. You know, I don't want to be sitting and doing nothing all day. I want to, you know, I want to think about what I need to improve, what with all this free time I can improve, and how I'm going to do it. And that's what I do basically.
I think that when you lose track of time, I think that's meditation.
Yeah.
When you're so involved in something that every little detail needs to be thought out, that's meditation. And you're not thinking about time then, and that's a perfect way to kill time, is losing track of it. Duh. So I don't know why like more people aren't doing that and just really taking time for themselves. And honestly, I meditate sometimes for 5 seconds. It could be as short as 5 seconds. And what I do when my head starts going to like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You just stop. And really meditation is you're training to redirect your neurological pathways. So when you start getting, you know, kind of frenzied up about something, then you say, I'm going to focus on my breathing for 5 seconds and just you just focus on a breath, and there's nothing else to think about, because and meditation isn't not thinking about anything. It's actually taking all of your energy and focusing on like the size of a pin needle like tip. It's like you're taking all your concentration, you're putting it in one little spot, and that's really hard to do. But once you do that, it's like, it's kind of like what we were saying before, like you're stopping the rhythm, you're kind of breaking out of the go, and you're just like, wow, the trees look beautiful today. And I would not have noticed that unless I was, so it's like, I don't know. Meditation is really helping me through quarantine, I think. And personally, I struggle with depression. I just had a therapy session before this, no secrets, whatever. And meditation can help you to a certain point. And once you get kind of past that, where it doesn't really work, like you kind of need a little more. We talked about changing the extremes. So if you're ever in like a really tough spot in quarantine, and you just need to change the rhythm in the most extreme way you could think. And we talked about sprinting and just exerting so much energy towards something. And it's exactly like that. It's just taking all your energy and putting it into one little spot.
I don't know if I ever would be surprised that the best vibe of any episode we've ever done would be when Ben Pavlik was on, but that is what has happened. The vibe check has been passed, has been exceeded.
We've checked.
A+++ on the vibe check. What an episode.
That's awesome. Well, all right, Joe, since you are dying to get to
I just felt like I had a really good segue. I thought that was like, we were
it was a
talking
brilliant
about
segue.
loans and whatnot. It is
We
way
do
too
another
hot.
segue? Let's set it up. Okay, we were talking about,
Gosh,
We were talking about meditation.
During quarantine and taking all this time to meditate, I think that's one important way of spending your time. I think another important way you can do it is get back to your community and maybe, try to figure out a job you can do while you're, while you have all this free time. And, maybe you'll get paid for that job, and that job will help you pay off your student loans. But what if you didn't have to pay off your student loans?
But what if you didn't have to pay off your student loan?
Bravo.
Like those dumb impromptu games I used to play where they're like, let's name us like 2 songs from 2 different musicals and see how many trains of thought we have to do to connect
like
the 2
6
of them.
degrees of connection.
Yeah, six degrees of connection. How do you start at the widest? You like, things are also things, and then you see if we can get more specific than that. So, sticks and stones to pay your loans.
At the end of every episode, we like to do a little thought experiment where we come up with these scenarios where you get all of your student loans paid off, where you no longer have any student debt. And you're cruising through life. The problem is, in order to get this money, there's some scenario, something weird, wild, or crazy that happens that you have to deal with along with getting your money. Joe has a scenario for us.
I have, for once, actually prepared a scenario ahead of time, and I'm quite proud of it. Yes.
And Ben, if something comes to your head as we're talking about this, like different examples are like, we had Nick Ward on 2 weeks ago, and he said, you get to pay off your student loans, but once a week, out of nowhere, you'll get blindside tackled by an Alabama football player.
I think
like
the
that.
one I came up with last week was, you get the student loans paid off, but for the rest of your life, your permanent residence must be in either the state of Indiana or the state of Arkansas.
Oh, those are the worst states, bro.
It was a hard no.
So, yeah, no one
anything
took
comes
that
to your
one.
head, feel free to shoot it out. But first, we'll start with Joe.
All right. So my scenario for this week that I've come up with, I was thinking about names. Right? We all care very deeply about our names. I was specifically thinking about Elon Musk's new child's name.
Oh.
I think it's something like something like, it's like AEAXA-12 something.
Isn't like
and I was like, imagine having such a terrible name, right?
What'd you say, Ben?
isn't it like Ash? Don't you say like Ash something?
I have no idea.
I don't know how
to say it, to be
I don't know
honest.
how they expected it to be pronounced. I've only ever seen it written down. I'm sure
Yeah, I've
they
only
had
seen
a
it
way
in
of
symbols.
pronouncing it.
So weird.
I had heard that the California state law actually forbids putting symbols and numbers in a name, and so it was going to legally be shot down.
Yo, the
And then I
artist
was
formerly
thinking
known as
about that.
Prince had to be mad.
I was thinking about like legal names and whatnot. So this was my condition. To experiment with how important your legal name actually is to you.
Okay.
You get all of your student loans paid off, but your first and last name must legally be changed. And the people that are going to decide what your first and last name get legally changed to is going to be a randomly selected focus group of 5 13-year-old boys.
Oh no.
So for the rest of your life, you're going to have to live like legally your name will be whatever these 5 13-year-old boys come up with. And we were all 13-year-old boys at one point, and we lived around 13-year-old boys. They're the worst.
This
They
is
are the worst.
this is the ripe age where they're learning words like chode and stuff like that. So your name is going to be like
And they're not nice. I didn't even
Richard Gobbler.
say
Dick
I didn't
Gobbler.
even say that I was going to tell them to make it bad, just that I was going to give them the responsibility of picking it. And you both immediately knew that whatever they picked was not going to be a fun name to live with.
No.
It's too much power to give to 13-year-olds. So that is my condition. You can take it or leave it.
Do I get to meet this focus group beforehand? Like, can I plead with them? Can I bribe them?
Yes, that sounds entertaining. I'd love to. No bribing, but you can state your case to them on why they should be nice to you. I'd love to watch that. The apathy of middle schoolers is amazing in action.
And they're all just sitting up there with like their thumbs, and like I'm like, please don't. And they're like,
oh
no.
You're sitting there like pleading with them, like telling them things about you and this life that you have planned for yourself, and they're like taking notes on stuff to use to torture you. And they're like, all right. These things are important to him. How do we ruin them?
They take a piece of paper and just title it weaknesses.
His weaknesses.
I'll give that to middle schoolers. Their evil superpower is being brutally honest. Like finding the thing that you hate, and they'll point it out.
They'll hate it.
Go up there. My new name is gonna be like, you're shorter than the average human, and that'll be sad. And I'll have to introduce myself as like, hi, I'm 5'9".
Yo, to point out how terrible 13-year-old boys were. When I was 13, I think I had a running gag of just, let's see how many short jokes I can make to Ben Pavlik's face.
Yeah.
Just all the time was just how many short jokes can I come up with? And then I think at one point Ben made like a feeble attempt at like a ginger joke, and he was too nice of a person to like really do it. So he was like on one or two occasions, you're like, I'm going to make a ginger joke. And I was like, go, hit me. And then he was like, where did gingers come from? And I was like, I don't know. And he goes, the Virgin Islands. I'm sorry, Joe. Was that too mean?
Oh, that's good.
I just had like an endless slew
Ben's
of
like,
short
no.
jokes.
That's too clever for me to say. I was probably like, you're ginger, and that's yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're ruthless. They're ruthless. Your name you will not be proud of your name.
My problem. So Ben, this could work for you, because if they come up with some ridiculous name, that could just be your stage name. You could just walk on stage, and be like, hi, I'm Pussy Galore.
I am Vagina Face.
Now I'm trying to think of like what 13-year-old me would think is a funny like fake name to give someone. That's a good one. Yeah.
But imagine me walking in with a resume to an actuary job.
Yeah.
College degree or no, according to Joe. I walk in.
I said you needed one. You were the one that got insulted.
Fine. I walk in with my college degree, and on the line where it says this person got this degree, congratulations. I don't know what's on them. But the name that's on there is something like up and applying for this job is Dick
Up
Munch.
my ass.
Yeah. I don't think I'd get a job. I think I'd have to I think I'd have to change careers. I think I'd have to become a circus performer.
A circus
Ooh,
performer.
then your name would be good. You'd just be like, oh, that's Pew Beard.
Pew beard. What's his superpower? Can he grow pubes or beards? No. In fact, he can't even grow a beard because he hasn't.
Hey, why is your beard hair so thin and curly?
They'd just be like, oh, that's my character in the show.
Yeah, that's just my name. I don't actually grow. Yeah, no, just given to me by 13-year-olds, and they're like, sure, okay.
It's a long story, but I don't have any student debt.
Yeah. At least you'd be going into the circus world with, heavy pockets.
You know what I think would be a funny name for them to give you? I don't know if 13-year-olds would do this because I don't think it's directly mean enough, but to just change your name to like, you're like, all right, all my student loans are going to be paid. You guys get to pick my name. Like, you're getting all your student loans paid just because we're going to pick your name, and then your name becomes like fucking Sellout. They just change your name.
You just have to walk around with the label like, yep.
Lazy ass.
Mr. Sellout?
Maybe the 13-year-olds will just make it as simple as making your name like Patricia.
I could live with that.
I could be okay with that. If they're uncreative 13-year-olds.
Yeah, sometimes they're just mean but not creative. I did say they'd be randomly selected, so.
Right. We could get the
never know.
litter.
And again, I never told them they had to make it bad. I'm just telling you, I'm giving them sole responsibility in what the name is.
Right.
We're just assuming that it's going to be.
We're talking about 13-year-old boys. We are assuming they will abuse their power. Yes.
Like, sure, they could change it to something like Ben Dover, where at least you have a normal first name and it's Ben. But more than likely, it's going to be Herpes Mouth.
You know what else I like is I realized at the beginning of this, I specified that they'd change your first and last name, but I didn't mention your middle. So like, imagine they change your first and last name, but you have the same middle name. So like you keep your middle name.
Paul Mouth.
Yeah. Herpes James Mouth.
All right. Would you take this, Ben? To get all of your student loans paid off, would you let a random panel of 5 13-year-olds choose your new name?
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Because that would just be so cool of a story to say anywhere. They'd be like, why the hell is your name this? And then I would answer with the question. I'd be like, sorry, how much do you owe in student loans right now?
Yeah. How much do you owe in student loans right now? And they'll be like, I don't know. At least my name's not Ball Chortling.
Right.
I don't know. You're right, Ben. It could be a really good conversation starter. It might get you a couple of gigs,
No, but imagine introducing yourself on a date and you're like, hi, my name's Ball. Like, that's a pretty interesting name.
Yeah.
My last name's Chortling.
Yeah, it's totally.
Even though if they make it your legal name, you don't have to use that name like in general, like with people. Like you could still go by Ben Pavlik, like around people. It's just on any legal document, like that's going to be your name.
Right.
Well, I think the trick would be to get married as quickly as possible and take your wife's name. Like imagine getting like you're about to get married and you just signed this deal. And your wife's like, I think we should take your last name, Hansen. I'm like, no, you don't want to take my last name anymore.
Now I'm trying to think of situations where like somehow your wife's last name would make the situation worse. Like you meet a girl and her last name combined with the dumb first name they gave you would be like even worse than the last name they gave you originally.
Well, what are some common last names that are really bad? I don't know.
Well, no, it would have to be like they would be really bad in tandem with the name that you had been given as your first name.
Well, think on that. While you do that, I'm going to say no. I don't think I could take this one. It's a lot of money.
I got it. So if your name is
a lot of money, but I would.
Your name is Ball Chortling, and you marry some girl named whatever Smith, and now your name's Ball Smith.
I think that's better. That's better.
Like a blacksmith, but for your testicles.
That's better than chortling.
What if her name was like Sout? So then your name was Balls Out.
Balls Out. That would be amazing.
Balls Out. Hi, I'm Balls Out.
Question.
Yeah.
Where are we on free balling for quarantine? What's the word on free balling?
Oh, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah?
David
Yeah.
hasn't stood up
Dude.
this entire time. You don't even know what he's doing.
I'm all in, baby. I'm balling.
Balling. Ball in. Balls out.
Balls out. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm not ball in. I'm balls out.
Yeah, because I was talking to some of my fellow friends about it, because I thought I was alone, but no, we are not alone.
I mean, like, I still live with
Together.
family members, so.
Yeah, that's my problem. I got a sister and a mom, so there's days where if my parents will walk in on me in class and I'm like, since I don't have to turn on the video, I just hopped out of bed, which means I'm in my boxers,
Yeah.
just in class. But that's their fault for
Yes.
not knocking, you know?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So what's the final verdict on whether or not you take the money? Ben said he would.
I'm a no.
David, would you?
I'm out.
You're a no?
I can't see myself making any money beyond college trying to apply for jobs.
Yeah. I'm also going to say I think it would cost me more money than I might gain from it.
Yeah.
Good. Wow. Well,
I think we learned a lot about each other with that one. Yeah.
yeah, that was good. That was a really good one.
Ben's a sellout. We're kind of, babies. We should just take the name. Alrighty. Ben, do you have anything off the top of your head that a little scenario? If not, I will throw one out there.
Go for it, David.
All right. You get all your student loans paid off. It's a lot of money. That's a phenomenal amount of money. But every person you meet, you have to hand out a business card to. You have to open the conversation by being, "Hi, I'm blank. Here's my business card." But on this business card is not just your waiting. Yeah, I'm sorry.
What is he writing?
I'm trying to remember what I thought of. It's not just like your name and like Joe Brown, computer engineer, not scientist. It's also your time. Oh, geez. I'm really screwing up, guys. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, geez, Rick. Oh, man, I really am screwing the pooch on this one.
Oh, geez.
Oh, geez. I don't
know. But what would be some bad things to hand out to people? I don't know.
Hi, my name is David Hansen, and I have a degree in actuarial science. Oh, geez, Morty.
That hurt.
I wasn't ready to deal with a bird like that. Morty, you just gotta blaze through it. You got a useless degree, but you gotta own it now.
Final offer. Everything's paid off, but it's your name, your profession, your home phone number, and the size of your penis.
Yes, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't care. You could literally in real life get me to hand out business cards that had that information, like as a joke. I would do that for like a week just for fun.
All right, so Joe's packing. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh no, not at all. Although
Joe's
fun
not
fact,
shy about.
There was a time when Timmy Bobin was going to make his senior quote. I don't want to make this sound weird. I had, as a joke, once told a bunch of my friends like my penis size because I don't.
That is weird,
and it's not.
Sorry, Joe. That's weird.
It was going to be weirder the way I had originally phrased it. Anyway,
that's weird.
I had
and what was really weird is I let them measure.
No, they never measured me, but
yeah,
there was a time when Timmy Bobin was going to mess with me and make his senior quote just like that, and nothing else.
That's funny.
He was like, "I'm just going to make that my senior quote with no other context." I was like, "All right, well."
I don't know. I think some people would appreciate the honesty if you walked up to them and said, "Hi, I'm David Hansen. I'm an actuary. Here's my business card. Oh, and by the way,
my penis is 2 inches.
Yeah.
My penis is 2.1002 inches long.
And I'm compensated.
That was the joke. I gave like a very, very specific measurement with like a bunch of decimal places. That's why.
What if instead
I added like a shit ton of decimal places to it to make it hilarious.
What if instead it was something you just disliked about the person? Like you handed out a business card the first time you meet them. You hand it out and it's like, and your shirt is ugly. or
Oh, like a first impression.
yeah,
Or
like, but it has to be a negative first impression.
what if it was the way they were gonna die?
Whoa.
You get a business card
That's
for
so morbid.
every person. So you could be like, "What's your name?" Like, what if? Okay, it had your name, but then it was like addressed to someone on the other side. It's like for this. It's like you
For
see that,
this, by the way, you get killed by seagulls.
right? But not. Oh yeah, yeah.
Death by seagulls would be pretty entertaining. I would just avoid seagulls and Best Buy parking lots.
You can't avoid fate, Joe. You can't avoid fate, Joe or Ben.
I don't
You
know.
learned
I like the insulting one because I just like the idea of handing out a business card to someone that's like, "Hi, my name is Joe Brown, and I don't respect your occupation." I would love if the card was omnipotent and it knew stuff about the people that like you didn't even know at the time. It's like
But
you're
it
just
knew you
meeting
weren't
them,
gonna like.
and it says that, and you're like, "Oh, hey, what do you do for a living?" "Oh, I'm a marketing." "Oh, okay, that's why."
That's see, the problem with that one, Joe, is that you would be totally for, like, you would pay to have these business cards.
I would love to have to be able to like see ahead of time right when I meet someone like the thing that I just dislike the most about them. That would be pretty great. I'd love that.
Just hand a business card and like, "Hi, I'm David Hansen. I'm an actuary, and I hate that you're a cat person." I'm like, "Oh, they're a cat person."
Your kid's fat.
You're just,
David, I think the problem is you live in Chicago, so like 90% of the time it would just be like, "Hi, I'm David Hansen. I have a degree in actuarial science, and I hate the Bears." Like it's just every person that's a Bears fan. It's just I hate the fact that you're a Bears fan.
I'd get beat
every
up a
single
lot.
card.
Yeah. Or what if the card? What if at the bottom it just said, "Please beat me up"?
Please beat me up.
Like a kick me card, but instead of having it on your back, you hand it out to people.
Yeah.
Or it just lied, like, "And your wife cheated on you with me."
Oh.
Ooh, even worse.
Your
It's
daughter
got like a lies on it.
You go up to your boss, and it's like you hand him your business card, and it's like, "Yeah, I took your sandwich out of the company fridge." That's even worse than the last. No, I think it could be a superpower though if it's omnipotent. Like
It's
if it
like
told you
insults.
something you didn't like about someone, like you hand it to someone, and it's like a really nice guy, and it's like you get the card back, and it's like, up, and he's a molester, and you're like, "Great,
Oh,
can turn him into the police."
yeah, on what evidence? The omnipotent business card told me so?
Listen,
That's not going
my
to hold up in a
business card-
court of law.
No, Joe, it's like the new what's that movie or what's that TV show where they can like see crimes before they happen?
Oh,
Help me out here.
Is that Minority Report?
Minority Report.
Yeah.
It's the new Minority Report. It's with business cards. It's like, "Oh, this person's gonna rob a bank," and it's boom, and you have that on your business card, and you can.
No, but like, then you're like in the court of law, like trying to prove this, and you like drove to the like, you're like, no, it works. Let me show you, and then you hand it to the judge, and it says like, "I hate the fact that you're the kind of person that takes off your shoes in airplanes," and now you're like, oh, you're like looking at the judge, and the judge is like, "What? This isn't. I'm the judge. I'm overruled.
What's this?
They're innocent."
Wait, but that could be a really good action movie because you hand the judge a business card, and on it says, "I hate the fact that you're getting paid off by the defendant," and you're like,
Ooh.
You can't trust anybody. You're just handing out business cards like,
"Guys,
ah!
I think we just came up with $1 million movie idea.
This
This
is gonna make
summer.
so much money.
The Cards Don't Lie. Starring Joe Brown as the villain because he's ginger.
And
And
he
with
like cuts to me like being interrogated, and they're like, "Tell us what you know." It's like, "Look, I don't got to tell you anything. I'm holding all the cards."
I'm holding all the cards.
The whole thing is just card puns.
Hard pun.
With Danny DeVito as
Danny
I don't
DeVito as the judge that takes his shoes
The
off in
judge.
airplanes. Let me tell you, I gotta stretch my toes out.
"Let me tell you, you're in for a royal flush with these guys." Like, no, we're not playing poker. Guys, I think We don't
I
need to
think my
take
answer
this
is
deal.
100% yes.
We can take this deal and become even richer by the $1 million movie idea we just came up with.
Yes, insanely. Yes, I get omnipotent business cards and all of my student loans are paid off. You've got me. I'm
Yo,
sold.
grab Michael Bay. He would totally be down for this.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Now the business cards explode on impact.
Ooh.
Michael Bay gets involved in the movie. Everything just blows up now.
That's true. Oh, but then the budget of the movie's going to go way up.
It's okay. I don't have to pay my student loans anymore, so
Well,
I've got a little bit of money to spare.
we'll investigate these business opportunities with our new movie off screen. But for now, let's go ahead and wrap this episode up. We're a little over time as per usual. I think it's probably tradition. Ben, before we head off, anything? How can people find your music? How can people find you?
That's a great question, and I don't really have a great answer for that yet. I guess we're still kind of putting our stuff together and just getting everything where it can be easily accessed. I think that's the hardest part, is just doing that. And I think the hardest part is just saying, this is good enough. I'm not going to spend any more hours over this. There's a quote this National Geographic photographer said. He said, if you wait for the shot to be perfect, you'll never take the picture. And so I think that's my biggest weakness is I think I'm a perfectionist when it comes to music, and like I want it done a very specific way, but honestly, you have to let go of that sometimes and just swallow your pride and just be like, hey, this is good enough. And people will appreciate that. So to answer your question, I don't have, none of my projects are out yet on a website, but I will let you know, and just know there's stuff in the works, and hopefully it'll all come together soon.
Can people still find your old EPs online and stuff?
Yeah,
stuff
on Bandcamp. There's an EP on Bandcamp. It's called Ben Pavlik, Outstanding in His Field. And it's a picture of me in a field, standing in it.
I love it.
Incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, so and that's got 3 songs on it. And then, yeah, so this new quarantine project, it's got 1 song, 1 guided meditation track, and 1 poem reading. So it's going to be kind of designed for when you're sitting at home and you need something to do.
Boom. Well, thank you for coming on here, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
You are a man of many awesome stories, and it's great having you on here.
Thank you. That means a lot. You guys too. You guys, I mean, you said some really nice things at the beginning, but I just want to say some nice things. You guys are honestly some of the smartest minds I've ever come in contact with, and so funny. Like I can remember countless times where both of you have just made my sides hurt from laughing. And that's just like, I always remember that. So thank you guys. And you guys are just great to talk to, and you guys have great chemistry on this and great interviewers. And it's just, I'm really lucky to be a part of this. So thanks.
Wow. Thank you,
You are
Ben.
the nicest guest we've ever had on this show. I swear. This is amazing.
Yeah, we need
I want to
bring
bring
someone
you
more
back
mean on
every
next
week. Let me tell you, every time we bring someone on this show, they just like Mike Bindeman and Evie were the 2 that got us the most.
Roasted.
Yeah, just completely flamed us the entire episode.
Fun episodes in their own right, but
It's
yeah,
it's an interesting change of pace. Funny both
talking to
ways.
Ben Pavlik for an hour, I could take that week
Super
medication.
zen. I love the vibe.
Thank you so much, Ben. From Joe, any last words you want to say before we head out?
Last words are for people who didn't say enough while they were alive, David.
Bye.
You really lived a fulfilled life. Would you have to say anything at the end?
My goal is to never shut up. So the last 10 years of my life, I just don't have to say anything. You use up my entire word count.
Oh,
Well-
is that movie about that, right? Like,
Yeah, the Eddie Murphy movie where he's got like a tree and has a leaf. I don't remember the name of it, like few words or something.
yeah.
Anyways, from Brown, I'm Hansen. Thank you everyone for listening. And please remember to visit Maine every once in a while. You know, there's a Portland, Maine. It's not just in Oregon. Anyways, have a great night, everyone.